Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought we would take a look at watercolor brushes. You might have been using one of these water brush type deals with the synthetic nylon bristles and the water filled container, but maybe you're thinking about moving up to regular brushes and a cup of water to work with your watercolor projects. So I thought today I would share with you some tips on the care and maintenance of regular bristle brushes so that way you can be successful when you get your first set in your hands. For my tips and demonstration, I am going to be using the altenew watercolor brushes, but all of these tips will hold true for any kind of watercolor brush, whether it is all synthetic bristles, if it is a synthetic blend, or if they are all natural bristles. All right, so first let's talk about just a few of the differences here. So if you're used to a water brush like this, these bristles are like a nylon kind of material. A lot of times they don't really hold a lot of water, but you have the water reservoir. So you're used to, squeezing this to get the water out. And then sometimes you can get a fairly good flow with it. But with a regular brush, of course, you just have the bristles. So when you're looking for brushes, I always recommend that either you get a synthetic blend, so it's partially synthetic and partially real hair, or get real hair brushes. And the most popular real hair brushes these days are sable or squirrel hair. Okay, so these ones from altenew, they have two sets of brushes. This first set here is a brush set of 4, and these are detail brushes, which are synthetic sable hair. So they are designed to mimic sable. And as you can see, they come in 4 different sizes. And I'm going to just take these little caps off. When you get your brushes, you definitely just want to take these caps off. You'll never put them back on because you don't want to grab a hair accidentally and have it out of place. That's something you definitely want to avoid as you work with your brushes. Okay, so these 4 are detail brushes, and then the second set is a set of 5, and these are synthetic squirrel hair, and they also have the black birch handles, and you've got a couple of different shapes here. So a large wide brush for doing backgrounds and things like that, and then also some other slightly larger bristles here too. Okay, so 2 sets of brushes, but we're going to prep them both the same. So brushes like this tend to come packaged not only with these little plastic caps, but they also have a protective coating on them that is either like a starchy coating or a gelatin coating, and it makes them kind of hard. So the first thing you want to do is prep your brushes, and you just need a cup of warm water. You never want your water to be hot, so warm water and then all of your brushes. So the first thing I'm going to do is just lightly break them apart like this, and then just let them sit in the water. This is the only time you will ever let your brush sit in the water like this. Okay, so I'll go through and prep all of these brushes the same way. And by the time I'm finished with all of these, I'll be able to go back through to the first one. See how this one is kind of like all split apart like that? That would never really paint well. So I definitely want to make sure that I get all of that material off. See how that likes to stick together? Just get those started there. All right, into the water they go. And then this last one, see, it's even more stiff. Definitely want to break that up and get it in some water. All right, so I'm going to set these guys aside. Okay, so I have all of my brushes in a little bit of water here. Now, I mentioned before, you never want to just leave your brushes in the water like this. What will happen is you will bend the bristles, and you never want to scrub the bottom either because that will also deform your bristle shape. Okay, so then I also have a rag here. It is damp, and that is to help get these started. So I'm going to just wipe off the brush in here, do a little swirling around, and that should be enough to get that material off of the brush. Now, every time I go to store my brushes, I'm going to do this same thing. I swirl it around in a little bit of water, and then I pull it across a towel like so to get it back into its shape. You want to store your brushes in a shape like this. You don't want to have all of the bristles fanning out all over the place. You want to keep them in a nice tight shape. So now I can go through and do this with all of my brushes. Again, just pulling it across like so, making sure that it has its nice pointy shape. And let me get all these kind of out in order here. All right, make sure that all of that coating is off. And then wiping them through my towel like so. Okay, so same thing for these larger ones. Sometimes these take just a little bit more, so I'll use my fingernail to just kind of go up against the brush. And this will help get rid of any loose hairs that might be in your brush. A good brush shouldn't lose too many hairs. And as you're using it, you shouldn't lose hairs either. But again, I will run that across my towel and get it in a nice pointy shape for storing. All right, so I'll go through these all again, like so. And the last round brush. There we go. So that's all my round brushes. And then now I have my flat brush. So this one, I will actually wipe across the bottom. And you can see that as I do that, I'm kind of fanning it out a little bit. That's going to help make sure that I get rid of all of that extra gelatin or whatever they've used in here, the starch, to keep that together. And then loosely let it drip. Then again, I'm going to run it across my towel so that it's nice and flat, and that's how I'm going to make sure it gets stored. If your brushes come with a nice little storage container like this one, it's really a good idea to keep them stored this way. This will help protect the tips and make sure that your brushes stay nice and new for as long as possible. This one is even a nice little package because if you pull this out here, and then I can just extend it as far as I like to allow my brushes to stand up straight. And then I pull this little knob here to keep it from going any further. So this will actually hold my brushes up while I'm using them if I like to do that. If you don't have a nice carrying case for your brushes, just put them in a cup or something like this, where you can put the ends down into the cup and they can extend out and dry. And just be careful that you don't accidentally hit the tips here or have some place where you might accidentally hit them. So that way you can keep those, of course, looking nice and working well for a lifetime. And that's all there is to it. So it really doesn't take much to prep your new brushes. Once you have all of that coating material off, they are ready to go. So just remember to only use warm water, never hot water with your brushes. We don't want to loosen up that metal ferrule. That glue will come undone if you use too hot of water. So then you're ready to go with all of your crafting and using your watercolors and your brand new watercolor brushes. I hope this helps you have a little bit of success with your new craft supply and that you make many, many beautiful things with your watercolors. I'll be back soon with more tips, tricks, and how-tos, but until next time, happy crafting. Help support my craft education efforts by clicking on the subscribe button and the little bell so you'll get notified when I create new content just for you. If you're looking for something else to watch, how about one of these crafty videos?